Guys, gals, non-binary pals, welcome back to Rhyme Signatures. Something a little bit different today. Something I've been thinking a little bit about lately owing to some news that came out from the progressive rock world. And I kind of want to just sort of word vomit a little bit, get my thoughts and feelings about it, and just kind of express how I'm feeling about the use of generative AI in music today. So, for those of you who didn't see, a few days ago, Stephen Wilson, and I'll put a link to the picture of the tweet here, commented on the fact that he is releasing a AI-assisted Christmas track this year. Now, for those of us who know, this was actually released as a song last year. It was put onto streaming platforms, and there was a whole big hoo-ha about it back then. But I feel that the hoo-ha is a little bit more warranted now, as Stephen is selling this as a 7-inch single that you can go out and buy physically. So what's the big deal? What is the problem with this? Now, the problem I have with this is that obviously Stephen has used AI to create this song. Now, that's not to say that the actual music written here or performed is done by AI. My understanding of this situation is that the lyrics for the song were written by an AI program, ChatGPT, whatever it is, I don't know. I'm assuming it's probably something like that. So one can only assume that the type prompt was, write me lyrics to a Christmas song in the style of Stephen Wilson, and whatever nonsense lyrics have come out is what is being used on this song. So I've seen a lot of discourse about this, a lot of people thinking, what's the big deal? It's just the lyrics, he's just doing it in the style of himself, so he's only ripping off himself. What's the problem here? And I kind of see the argument from that side of things, you know. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the only person being ripped off is himself. But I feel this is setting a dangerous precedent. If we normalize this behavior in music, if we start becoming comfortable with artists effectively writing their lyrics by using a chat program to make it look as if they're doing it themselves, by referencing everything they've done in the past, I don't think we should be comfortable with this level of cheating, as it were. Now, I'm not like an old fuddy-duddy who is resisting the inevitability of the AI revolution. You can't really put the stopper back in the bottle now that it's been opened. AI is here to stay, and there's nothing we can really do to stop that. What we need to be doing is being more responsible with the way it is actually used. And for me, I see the use of generative AI, be that in terms of lyricism, be it in terms of artwork for album covers, be it, God help us all, for actually creating instrumentation for songs. I don't think it has a place within the creative arts community. Ultimately, at the end of the day, generative AI like this benefits nobody except the user. As my understanding of these sort of script-based, type in a sentence and you'll get a result sorts of AI generation, ultimately they're having to source the data that creates these images, creates this text, creates this music from existing data. And where do you think that comes from? Everybody else who's worked tirelessly, using their own mind, their own hands, their own whatever, to create these things. Now, obviously, the argument, as I say, is, oh, if they're only ripping off themselves and who's actually getting hurt. And I don't really think that's a strong enough argument. Because let's be honest with ourselves, self-plagiarism isn't exactly something we should be encouraging. And ultimately, that's what generative AI, when used to reference yourself, is. You are effectively bypassing the thought process of creating something new and relying on everything that you've created in the past to create something which is a facsimile of the new. It's not actually real. It's not effort. It's not genuine passion or heart put into it. It's typity, 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 boom, and there you go. And I'm not comfortable with that. I'm really, really not comfortable with that. As I say, I think AI is going to have its place in society. It is going to have its place in the creation of X, Y, Z. But for the arts and humanities sides of things, I just think it's a little bit dirty and makes me feel quite gross, ultimately, when I think about it. Now, again, I've seen the argument on the side of, oh, well, if you're going to be against AI, why not be against all kinds of music production techniques and all this sort of stuff? Say you've got like your Fruity Loops studio or whatever, or you've got like a reverb pedal. Why be against AI and be for those things? Because ultimately, and I'm going to make it very simple here for you, those techniques are not ripping off somebody else's work. Musical production techniques like this have obviously been very commonplace for a long time, and at the end of the day, ultimately you're not ripping anyone off. This is why I don't have a problem with these sorts of, like, I don't know, pitch correction stuff or filling in the blanks kind of stuff, because ultimately it's working on intelligence based off what it's being given, which is what you've created. Let's say you've created something yourself, you've sung a little song, you've played a little ditty, whatever, and you put it in auto-tune. Auto-tune was, of course, the big controversy back in the day, but nobody really cares anymore about it. It's just a given that it's used. It's very popular amongst, like, modern artists, just sort of like pitch correction and all that something, whatever. That is not being trained off of other people's work. And that is where my issue with AI boils down to. Generative AI cannot exist without the work of others. And so long as people are trying to normalize the use of AI-generated lyrics, AI-generated art, AI-generated music, I cannot sit here in good conscience and just say nothing about where the state of the music industry is going. We as consumers and we as people have a duty to be aware of this nonsense, be aware of when artists try to make these shortcuts, and the best thing we can do is vote with our wallets to protest against this. I, of course, will not be buying anything Steven Wilson related for a little while now, as quite frankly he's burning some bridges with the fact that he's trying to sell this single with lyrics that he has not written and he has clicked a button to create. I feel that if we as people continue to be ignorant to these sort of things, to allow artists to just continuously create this AI-generated slop, then the only place that the music industry is able to go is down. I don't want to, in 15 years' time or whatever, sit down with a smorgasbord of new releases to find out that 7 out of every 10 of them have got AI involved in their creation. I am concerned that we are starting to see the turning point where more and more popular artists will be turning to generative AI to either create lyrics, to either create a certain degree of instrumentation, etc., whatever. I don't know how many people follow Jordan Rudess's Twitter account or whatever, but he is posting a lot of AI-generated video effects on his little clips, and it seems harmless at first. Okay, sure. But again, you need to bear in mind that these sort of AI-generated transitions, effects, etc., they don't just get magicked out of thin air. They are relying on the data set, the creations, the output of people who have put the work in. And it is honestly just not fair on the people who put that blood, sweat and tears into their work for somebody to come along, type a couple of sentences into a chat box, press enter, and have all the hard work that you've done replicated by a machine. Like I say though, I am not saying that AI is the devil. I'm not saying that AI should be thrown into the sea, gotten rid of, yada yada yada. It has its place. It has uses within a functional society which will make life easier for everyone. I appreciate that, and I'm not trying to shy away from that. What I am saying is I disagree, and I feel quite strongly against the idea of artists, musicians, creators, and all manner of other people within these industries using it as a shortcut. So Steven Wilson says he's not good at writing Christmas lyrics, so he used an AI chatbot to do it. Maybe just don't write a Christmas song. You shouldn't suddenly think to yourself, oh, I can't do something, so I'm just going to get AI to do it for me. It doesn't feel morally right to think to yourself, I can't do this, I'm not good enough at this, I'll just get an AI to do it for me. I don't think that's a good enough of an excuse. Not everybody is going to be good at everything, and honestly, that's fine. Maybe it's better to focus on the things that you are good at, the things that you do have talent for, and refine that to a greater degree. Now, of course, I'm not going to start policing the use of AI around the world, and I certainly can't stop people from going to ChatGPT, going to Bing Images, whatever, and typing in whatever they want, Go nuts, do whatever you want. I really don't care at this point. The problem I'm having is when you put it out into the world for everyone to see and you start profiting from it. If you start profiting from the use of generative AI, you are absolutely part of the problem. The random dungeon master for a D&D game who can't be bothered finding pictures for his various NPCs, who then just goes to Bing AI Images, types in a brief description, and then just uses that for his players. Whatever, nobody is profiting. Nobody's making money from that. That's fine. I really don't care. But if you were then to go to an arts and crafts fair and print these AI-generated images out on paper and sell them as if they were your own original artwork, when the reality is you have basically scraped the barrel from other people's hard work and effort, that is when you are part of the problem. That is where I will draw the line. Ultimately, I think I just want to put a pin on this before I start going on for too long, is that generative AI has no place whatsoever in the music industry. It needs to go away. People need to start realizing that sometimes muddier production sounds better. Maybe the terrible artwork you've got for your album is actually better than something which has no soul. So don't be afraid to do bedroom production. Don't be afraid to just go out somewhere, take a photo of anything on your mobile phone camera and use that as your album artwork. Because honestly, it may not look as good to you, but at least it's real, at least it's honest, and you're not ripping anyone off to do it. If you are a musician out there and you have been using AI in your work, I think maybe it's the time to start being honest about it. We used to have those little stickers on CDs back in the 90s or whatever, you know, parental advisory, explicit lyrics, so the sort of pearl-clutching parents out there could make sure that little Jimmy doesn't hear the F-bomb in a song that he's listening to. I genuinely believe that we should be at a point now where it should be a requirement to have a similar sticker put onto the front for any album art that has been used with generative AI, and similarly if any of the music or lyrics have been done as such as well. We need to stigmatize this stuff, make it known that people are using this to make their music, and whilst I'm not saying go on a witch hunt for this sort of thing, I think we should, however, still be in a position to allow the consumer to make an intelligent and informed decision as to whether or not they wish to support and financially provide for an artist who is using these sort of shortcuts. But at the end of the day, I am just a single voice on the internet. I only have so much sway and influence. But maybe, just maybe, these words will reach somebody. Maybe they'll just close ChatGPT, pick up a pen and paper, and actually write their own lyrics. So that's my thoughts on the situation as it stands. I'm sure that a lot of you will have possibly similar, possibly differing opinions to me about the use of generative AI in music. So I would love to get a discourse going. Let's get some conversation happening. So please talk to me in the comments down below about your thoughts and feelings on the situation as it stands. And until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures pretty odd.